So today, there's a whole lot of drama and confusion circulating online involving Claressa Shields, Papoose, and everything connected to Dimitri and Salida Promotions, and the situation has basically turned into a full social media debate, with people trying to piece together timelines and intentions from every angle. According to what's being reported and heavily discussed online, Dimitri actually showed up and fulfilled all of his promotional obligations that had been pushed all week across podcasts, radio interviews, and even appearances in Atlanta tied to the big fight promotion. He was reportedly out there doing the full PR run, meeting people, shaking hands, supporting the event, and making sure everything stayed on track the way a promotion team is supposed to operate. But while he was actively handling business, the focus online shifted heavily toward Claressa Shields, who is now being accused by some people of missing not one but two scheduled appearances. One was allegedly in Atlanta, and another was supposed to take place at Mooney's Hibachi Grill in Flint, Michigan. These were part of the promotional commitments tied to the same overall event push, where tickets were already being sold, and expectations have been set for public appearances. This is where things start getting messy, because instead of people talking about the fight promotion itself, social media started spinning a completely different narrative. Online chatter began suggesting that Claressa may have skipped or delayed those appearances because she was allegedly more focused on monitoring the situation involving Papoose, especially with speculation around whether there could be any kind of reunion energy between him and Remy Ma during that same weekend window. That rumor alone was enough to send the internet into overdrive, even though none of it has been officially confirmed. Still, once that storyline started spreading, people began reinterpreting everything else through that lens. Around the same time, Dimitri posted something that got a lot of attention. He shared a message reflecting on an evening at the Museum of Natural History in New York City, describing it as a celebration of greatness, legacy, and how sports continue to inspire people globally. The post highlighted a powerful display of iconic sports achievements, including legendary trophies like the Stanley Cup, NFL championship rings, PGA trophies, and other historic pieces that represent elite success in sports history. What really made people stop and pay attention, though, was the fact that Claressa Shields' championship belt was displayed alongside those globally recognized symbols of excellence. For many people, that visual alone carried a strong message about her status in the sport and how far she has come in her career. Whether people like her personality or not, her achievements were being placed in the same conversation as some of the greatest accomplishments in sports history. Dimitri also used the post to praise Claressa's journey in a very detailed and respectful way, highlighting how she came from Flint, Michigan, an environment known for its struggles, and still managed to rise into one of the most dominant and recognized fighters in women's boxing. The message emphasized her discipline, resilience, and ability to turn difficult circumstances into long-term success. He further spoke about her influence beyond boxing, saying her story continues to inspire young people to push through adversity, dream bigger, and not let their environment define their future. He even expressed gratitude for being part of her journey and witnessing her legacy continue to grow in real time. One of the most talked about lines from his post was when he said she is only getting started, which fans interpreted as a sign that her career is still on an upward climb. However, while this positive narrative was being shared, online users began connecting dots and building their own timelines. Dimitri had reportedly been in Atlanta for Saturday night events and then later appeared in New York shortly afterward. That quick transition between locations raised questions for some people online, who started trying to figure out how everything aligned in real time. At the same time, people also started pointing out Claressa's outfit appearances. Some claimed she was seen wearing the same red-themed outfit, red glasses, red handbag, and red heels, during different appearances across the weekend. Later, she was also seen in museum-related photos that some believe were taken at a different time, possibly Monday or Tuesday, where she appeared in a slightly different styling, including thigh-high boots. These small visual details became fuel for even more speculation online. As all of this was happening, critics began pushing the idea that Claressa may have been emotionally distracted, with some claiming she prioritized personal concerns involving Papoose over her professional commitments tied to the promotional schedule. According to that narrative, she allegedly missed or delayed appearances that fans had been expecting because she was more focused on the possibility of Papoose reconnecting with Remy Ma during that same period. Some versions of the story even suggest that she may have altered her travel plans last minute, arriving in New York earlier than originally expected, which created confusion in the schedule and contributed to the overlapping outfit sightings and timeline debates. But again, all of this is largely based on online speculation, fan interpretation, and social media commentary rather than confirmed facts. Still, once the internet gets hold of a storyline like this, it tends to snowball quickly, especially when multiple celebrities and personal relationships are involved. What makes the situation even more intense is how people are now comparing Claressa's professional responsibilities with her personal life assumptions. Some critics argue she should have prioritized her promotional commitments no matter what was going on privately, while others defend her and say the narrative being pushed online is exaggerated and based on assumptions rather than reality. Meanwhile, Dimitri's post continues to circulate as a contrast point, showing respect, admiration, and a strong professional focus on Claressa's achievements. While the online discourse keeps drifting toward personal drama and relationship speculation involving Papoose and Remy Ma, at this point the entire situation has turned into a mix of promotion, rumor, timeline analysis, and social media storytelling, where people are trying to connect events that may or may not actually be related. And as usual, the internet has taken a complex situation and turned it into a full-blown debate with multiple competing narratives, none of which have been fully confirmed. In doing all of this, many people online have built a much bigger narrative around Claressa Shields, Papoose, and everything tied to Dimitri and Salida promotions, turning what started as promotional scheduling and appearances into a full-blown social media storyline filled with speculation, assumptions, and timeline breakdowns. According to online chatter, the situation became messy when Dimitri reportedly showed up and fulfilled all of his scheduled promotional obligations over the weekend. He was seen doing interviews, radio runs, podcast appearances, and even supporting the Atlanta fight-related events that had been promoted heavily for days. From the outside looking in, he appeared fully locked into his professional responsibilities, maintaining consistency with everything that had been planned for the promotion. However, attention quickly shifted toward Claressa Shields, who has been accused by some online users of missing or skipping two separate obligations during the same period. One was reportedly an appearance in Atlanta tied to the promotional push, and another was a scheduled stop at Mooney's Hibachi Grill in Flint, Michigan. These appearances were part of the same broader promotional campaign where fans had expectations, tickets were sold, and visibility was a key part of the event's success. This is where social media took the situation and ran with it. Instead of focusing on the boxing promotion itself, online discussions started connecting Claressa's alleged absence to a completely different storyline involving Papoose and Remy Ma. According to these theories, some users believe Claressa may have been emotionally distracted during that weekend, allegedly focused on whether Papoose might reconnect with Remy Ma or be around other women linked to his past. That claim alone triggered a massive wave of speculation. Even though there is no confirmed evidence supporting it, the narrative spread quickly, and people began reinterpreting her schedule, appearances, and even outfits through that lens. The discussion intensified when Dimitri posted a message highlighting a special evening at the Museum of Natural History in New York City. The post wasn't just casual. It was framed as a celebration of greatness, legacy, and the impact of sports across generations. The museum exhibit reportedly featured some of the most iconic trophies in sports history, including the Stanley Cup, NFL championship rings, PGA trophies, and several other legendary awards that represent elite athletic achievement. What stood out most to people, however, was the inclusion of Claressa Shields' championship belt alongside those historic symbols. That visual immediately became a talking point online because it placed her achievements in the same space as some of the most respected accomplishments in sports history. Whether people like her personality or not, many acknowledge that her resume and legacy in boxing are undeniable. Dimitri also used the post to praise Claressa's journey in detail, describing her rise from Flint, Michigan, to becoming one of the most dominant figures in women's boxing. He emphasized her discipline, resilience, and ability to overcome a difficult environment to reach global success. The message also highlighted how she continues to inspire younger generations to push beyond their circumstances and aim for greatness. He further expressed pride in being part of her journey, saying it was an honor to witness her legacy growing in real time. One of the most talked about parts of the message was when he stated that she is only getting started, which many interpreted as a strong endorsement of her future in the sport. But while this positive narrative was unfolding, online users began digging into timelines and appearances. Dimitri reportedly attended both the Atlanta-related obligations and later appeared in New York for the museum event within a short time frame. That quick transition raised questions among social media users who started analyzing how everything aligned so smoothly on his end compared to the confusion surrounding Claressa's schedule. At the same time, attention shifted toward Claressa's outfit appearances. Some online viewers claim she was seen wearing a red-themed outfit, red glasses, red handbag, and matching heels during a Saturday appearance. Later, she appeared in museum-related photos where some believe the same dress was reused but styled differently, this time with thigh-high boots instead of heels. These observations fueled even more speculation, with people trying to piece together a timeline based on clothing changes and location assumptions. As the conversation grew, critics began pushing the idea that Claressa may have made a sudden change in travel plans, allegedly arriving in New York earlier than expected. According to that theory, she was not originally scheduled to appear until later in the week, but instead showed up during the weekend, which may have caused overlap, confusion, and scheduling issues for her other obligations. Some users took it even further, suggesting that because of this unexpected travel shift, she may not have been fully prepared for multiple appearances, leading to claims that she repeated outfits or adjusted styling in order to appear differently across events. However, it's important to note that all of this remains social media speculation rather than confirmed fact. Meanwhile, another major point of discussion has been Papoose' public presence, or lack of it. Some users noticed that despite the museum event being described as a major recognition moment for Claressa, there were no widely shared posts or visible public celebrations from Papoose acknowledging the occasion. This sparked additional debate online, with some interpreting it as distance, while others argue that not every private moment is meant to be publicly documented. On the flip side, critics compared this situation to earlier moments in Papoose' life, where he appeared highly visible and supportive in public settings involving Remy Ma. That contrast has now become part of the broader online conversation, with people debating differences in public energy, support, and visibility. As the narrative continued building, social media users also began comparing Dimitri's consistency in handling both promotional obligations and the museum appearance without visible disruption. This comparison turned into a larger discussion about professionalism, scheduling, and priorities, even though the original situation was centered around a promotional boxing event. From there, the storyline shifted again back toward Claressa and personal speculation. Some online users began claiming she may have been more focused on monitoring Papoose' situation during that weekend than on her scheduled appearances. According to those theories, that emotional focus allegedly impacted her ability to fully engage with promotional responsibilities. Though again, none of this has been officially confirmed. Other commentators pushed back strongly against this interpretation, arguing that the entire narrative is being exaggerated and shaped by internet speculation rather than real evidence. They point out that public figures often deal with overlapping schedules, travel complications, and multiple obligations that the public doesn't always see behind the scenes. Still, the internet continues to analyze everything: timelines, outfits, travel gaps, social media posts, and even absence of posts to build competing versions of the story. For some, it's about accountability and professionalism. For others, it's just another example of how quickly social media can turn partial information into a full narrative. And that is where the situation currently stands: a mix of promotion, speculation, emotional interpretation, and online detective work, where people are still trying to decide what actually happened versus what the internet's created out of missing details.